He's going to need a trick of 8.5 or higher. It all boils down to this.
We know Nyjah Huston lands on his feet. The reigning king of street skateboarding defies gravity, finds his board, and sends the crowd into a frenzy. It's a pattern he's used to repeating. But to understand how dominant he is now, you have to know how he came to control his own fate.
You might not know it now because I just look like a typical white lady from California. But for 15 years, I wore a head wrap. I did not own a pair of pants.
I was raised vegan for the first 15 years of my life. Very strict vegan because my dad was very set on that.
We homeschooled our children. All of our children, for example, were born at home. As a Rasta family, we made a conscious effort to kind of separate ourselves from society. And so I think skateboarding and the sports world was a way that we were able to do that.
My dad used to skate back in his teenage years, and he loved it. So then I think when he had me and my brothers, he really wanted to kind of get us into skateboarding.
Early in his childhood, Nyjah skated with his dad and older brothers at local parks. It didn't take long before word got out that something extraordinary was happening on these normal family outings.
Just got the phone call of like, hey man, there's this kid, he's outrageous, and wait till you see this guy.
It's a 6, 7-year-old with dreads and this just amazing talent.
As a family, I mean, we lived and breathed and ate skateboarding.
My dad was really controlling, and he did want me to skate every single day. I would say he did it in like a little bit of a strict way, which probably wasn't necessary because bottom line, I love skateboarding. That's all I wanted to do anyway.
With a sponsorship from Element Skateboards and an invite to compete at X Games, Nyjah suddenly had a full-blown skating career at 11 years old that supported the whole Huston family. But Nyjah's perfect California life was about to change. In 2006, Nyjah and Ademi visited Puerto Rico for a contest. Soon after, the father moved the family to a secluded 26-acre farm there, bought with Nyjah's earnings.
I think he wanted to try to keep me and my brothers as far as possible away from like having friends and being a normal kid and getting into trouble and like getting into girls and yeah, stuff like that.
I think there was a level of isolation that was slowly taking place over the course of a few years.
Nyjah got way better than anyone expected, and with that came media, came interviews, demands, and the Huston family had limited the communication through being pretty much off the grid, and it really led to the severe problems.
It came to a point where I wasn't showing up to enough autograph signings and demos and stuff, and it sucks because I wasn't really even aware of that, because I wasn't talking to them. My dad was. It all kind of started to go downhill from there.
I did get a phone call from Ryan Kingman, who was the then team manager for Element Skateboards, and he was calling to warn me, like, hey, this can't go on like this anymore, or we have no choice but to let Nyjah go.
That was a very surprising thing, and I feel like I'm always kind of meant to be on that company. It was my first sponsor ever. When that whole thing was going down, I didn't feel like it was right at all.
Nyjah's contact with the skate world was limited by Ademi, and he lived in social isolation. And there were other problems for the family. According to court documents submitted in their divorce, Kelly alleged that occasionally Ademi physically and emotionally abused her and Nyjah's 2 older brothers. Ademi was unavailable for comment for this piece, and Kelly wouldn't talk about the allegations on camera, but the combined effect of their life in Puerto Rico led her to make a big decision.
Nyjah was scheduled to go to Barcelona, and of course Ademi was going to go with him. I said, you know, Ademi, we need a break from this place. While you and Nyjah go to Barcelona, I said, I'm going to take the other children over to California for a month. And he didn't like that idea. Their dad was so angry with me, and he refused to take me to the airport. So I had 4 children with me, and I had to hire a van. And Nyjah came out to the van. And I'm gonna break down when I talk about this, but that was the worst, because the way he looked at me and the way I looked at him, we both knew, like, this is it. Mom's leaving, but Mom has to leave. And that was really the very saddest moment of my entire life.
I was kind of the one sibling that didn't have like a choice because my dad was my manager, so he felt like he had complete responsibility of me. That kind of sucked, you know, all my brothers moving back to California, where I wanted to move back to also, and now I'm just stuck in Puerto Rico. Like, oh.
It's very painful to have to go through that, to have to separate a child, not only from his mother, but from all of his siblings as well. So it was really, really, really tough choice, but definitely the right choice.
Nyjah rarely saw his mom over the next 2 years. With Ademi controlling Nyjah's travel and insisting that they stay in Puerto Rico, Kelly finally filed for divorce in July 2009 and petitioned for full custody of Nyjah and his 3 other minor siblings. That meant the court had to decide which parent controlled Nyjah's career. In May of 2010, a judge decided that Nyjah would live with Kelly in California.
I was very thankful that my mom made the decision that she did by helping out my career and getting me back and really getting me back on track.
What rekindled the relationship with Nyjah? His mother, for sure. She's really like kind of the glue between all of us.
He was already one of the best skateboarders alive. When we started Street League, we knew that it was incomplete without him, and she really made it happen.
When I found out about Street League, it was a scramble of how am I going to get him there? Nyjah's money had been so abused and was down to such a low number that he had a court-appointed minors counsel that was holding all of his money in a trust. I literally had barely $100 in my checking account. So I was completely going to Arizona for the first Street League on a wing and a prayer.
She called me and said, hey, we're having trouble with the credit card. And I just said, hey, just put all their rooms on my card. Don't even worry about it.
And then Nyjah won. He won $150,000. That was kind of the beginning of everything going up.
I think that was one of the most important and best feeling contests I've ever won before.
And that first event literally changed their lives.
From that point, I was able to prove to the courts that I had all the right intentions for my son. And little by little, they gave me more control of managing Nyjah's career.
Nyjah finally had the one thing Ademi would never give him, a taste of freedom. At 18 years old, he's Nyjah Huston, the skateboarder, and in total control of what happens now.
The time became right to lose the dreads. I think after having them for 15 years, I was like, wow, like I wanna know what it feels like to have normal hair.
More than anything, he went from very introverted to like more outgoing and fun-loving, lucky kid who's living up every aspect of this rise to superstardom.
At first, it was a huge change because for the first time in his life, like he had choices. He's not looking over his shoulder for his dad to tell him what to do.
There's a lot of greatness that Ademi did for his son. He is one of the reasons that Nyjah is as talented as he is, and I think that gets overshadowed by a lot of the things that happened.
Unfortunately, I haven't had contact with him for the past year or two. If he did happen to call me anytime soon, I completely accept him back in my life because I am thankful for the way he raised me. Even though it was really strict, it was also what got me to where I am right now. So I always have to be thankful for that.